Hi there. I recently hosted my first ever Nexty Media event in New York with my partners at ViewPlanner, during which we talked to folks from across the creator meets media meets brand ecosystem. And so this week, we're turning highlights of that gathering into a special bonus podcast episode. We've got tons of insightful comments from the likes of Loomis Connor McKenna, Ian Schaefer from Assembly, Jamie Goodfriend of Creator Vision, Ali Parrish from Horizon, and many more. We even talked to a real-life creator. So lots to get into, so let's get started.
Well, hello again to everyone. Now I'll look at this way. Last time I was faced that way. So, to talk about the creator space, and obviously where I'm focused is technology. And so I'm really happy to have Arthur here from Agentio. We met, a year ago, right? And I feel like I get the benefit of just getting to talk about really high level things, which is a lot of where my commentary is based on what I've seen sort of at 30,000 feet. And when we met, we kind of had a mind meld of, oh, wow, this is what you're actually building. So Agentio is just a fascinating platform from my perspective in the creator space and really bringing that scalability I talked to this ecosystem. Not planned by this, but actually announced a 40 million Series B today. So a lot of congratulations to Arthur and the team there. So let's just for people who aren't familiar, I don't know how familiar people are. I'm not going to try to describe Agentio. I'll let you do that and just introduce yourself. And tell them what Agentio is all about, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. My name is Arthur Leopolod. I'm CEO and co-founder of Agentio. The friction that you were just hearing about in the last panel and like the challenges that marketers face with trying to partner with creators, trying to measure creators, this like very archaic way of trying to shape creators into your campaigns is what we're trying to solve for. And if you think about global digital ad spend, there's about $10 billion today running direct from brands to creators, and $800 billion running through Meta and the Trade Desk and Amazon and Google. And the reason the creator space is so constrained is because of all the complexity around deal making, negotiation, brand safety, measurement. And in building Agentio, prior to Agentio, I helped start Cameo and saw the friction that fans had to deal with. And then, of course, brands were reaching out. In building Agentio, we realized that because of large language models and because of my co-founder's experience building ad tech at Spotify, we could actually automate the friction and eliminate all the challenges that marketers have to deal with today in trying to build and scale creator programs. And what that would do, inevitably, is shift these paid media budgets to the best storytellers in the world, those who have the strongest audiences, and those who, like, you guys on your phone right now, like, you're consuming creator content. You don't give a shit about traditional advertising anymore. And that's only going to continue to increase this connection that creators have with their audiences. We started the business 2 years ago, or launched the platform 2 years ago. Benchmark led our Series A 11 months ago, and we just announced a $40 million Series B today. And we've been able to scale so quickly because we have the very best consumer brands in the country now partnering with creators in a scalable way. So what does that mean? It means that brands like Uber and Olipop and Skims and Viore and DoorDash and a lot of the brands that we all are probably wearing, Bombas socks, they can scale budgets from $50K a month to over $1 million without additional bandwidth needs on their end or our end. We have $500,000 budgets get filled in under 24 hours, a process that historically would have taken 6+ months. So there's a lot of like OG ad tech people in this room. Think back to like 20 years ago when people were buying ads on the internet. Right, you'd like call up a website and try to get like that upper right hand corner of the page, and of course, like DoubleClick came along and the Trade Desk came along, and they automated away all the complexity. And in doing so, they brought hundreds of billions of dollars into digital advertising to publishers. We're taking that exact same approach to creator advertising. Our belief is that the future of advertising is creator led. It's unfortunately been too constrained for too long. We started with YouTube as our initial sort of wedge. So these are like 90-second creator integrations, creator talking about why they love a brand. And it's an insanely performant ad unit because of the storytelling nature. And, we've since turned on a partnership post beta on Meta. And we're going to be using this funding, of course, to expand to every platform and enable advertisers to come into Agentio and put in $1 million a minute, a day, a week, a month, or whatever it is. And we can identify which creators on which platforms can drive the best outcomes for advertisers and shift those dollars accordingly. So that's what we're building towards.
All right, that was a very fulsome introduction. You took like 3 of my questions away there. So let me shift here. So one of the reasons you mentioned sort of, ad tech scaled with DoubleClick and others also with the IAB and with standardization, right? Whether that standardization was ad units, so a banner is, 250 by 300, or RTB specs and things like that allowed people to run on similar rails. Walled gardens historically have been, walled gardens, right? So they create their own rules. You don't get a lot of data. They control the standardization. Maybe we'll focus on YouTube because that's where you guys have started. But what is sort of that unlock to the standardization or maybe it's not the standardization, maybe it's just the workflow that allows that scalability to go from 50,000 to $1 million, in 24 hours that has been so challenging in the creator space?
Yeah. A lot of it has to do with standardizing the ad unit. And especially on YouTube, I'm sure many of you feel this, especially the View Planner. YouTube's still like, people don't understand it. It's misunderstood. It doesn't get the recognition that it deserves. And we realized that there was this 60-second ad unit where we could get a lot of data from creators connecting their YouTube accounts to Agentio. While we might not get like the view through data, we certainly could infer certain things. And on the paid side, we could use the best measurement, attribution suites out there, Google and Meta's measurement platform. So we could standardize creator content in 2 ways. One, enable the buying of it to be really easy through this bidding model that we've pioneered in the creator space, where brands load up campaigns, we create strategies. We have this agentic strategy creation, and we launch these strategies to help a brand hit their goals. The brands approve the creators. Sometimes the machine just approves the creators on the brand's behalf. Creators receive the bids. Creators upload the content. Creators are told instantaneously, like if you're away luggage and there was a competitive bag in the background, or if a creator didn't use a QR code. So all of this process that today takes a lot of people is now standardized, and that enables a level of scale. That's on the YouTube side, and then on the Meta side, like, Meta's out there beating the drum today. The most performant ad unit on Meta are partnership ads, but really hard to scale, right? Like, how do you price? If you're a paid media buyer, you're going to tell a creator, hey, we'll only pay you $500 because we can't risk more than $500 because we'll know if that ad's going to perform with $500 to spend. But then the creator is going to come back and say, I need 10 grand or 20 grand because that's what I get for my organic post. And that model will never work. So we've taken a different approach with our model that's enabled a level of scale and standardization.
Yeah, I think the partnership posts and TikTok's have their own version of it, and YouTube's lean into this is sort of a fascinating space where, and I think you might have been the one who told me this, is where you get that, like, how do you take the creativity of the creators and put it into the engine of the monetization? Like, Meta and Google and YouTube are so good at running that monetization piece. Let them do that. We want to bring the creative, and we want to make sure the creator actually gets paid for it.
Yeah,
right?
1,000%. Like, at the end of the day, creators are the most creative people in the world, right? Like, they know a 1 second, 3 second, 5 second hook rate better than just about anyone. Even the great creative, like the creative agents or folks that are leading creative agencies, they're now like becoming the most popular people on social, right? Like Owen and Schwinn. And what's amazing about creators is that they essentially are micro creative agencies. And especially with the way that Andromeda is rolled out and what Meta is asking of its advertisers, we need an essentially unlimited amount of creative variation. Yeah. And that's not like old school creative variation, like, oh, just change the type, change the CTA, change the color. That's like an entirely different piece of content. Like, how on earth is a creative agency going to create that much content in an efficient way when an advertiser can test that very quickly and know if it's going to perform? That's why leveraging creators can be so powerful, because they can be a brand's content engine. And if you look at the Meta ads libraries of brands like Groons, there's a bunch of them I could rattle off, but worth taking a look. And they're working with hundreds of creators at a time, and they have hundreds of these partnership ads, and that's why they've been able to scale so quickly as businesses.
Yeah, makes sense. what about, so we talked about the sort of workflow scalability aspect of this. The other big thing that drove, ad tech, broadly speaking, so there's hundreds of billions of dollars, is the, addressability and the optimization of who you're targeting, how you're choosing who to work with, right? So what's that aspect of it look like as you guys are trying to drive scale? So yes, okay, we got to make it work. The platform's now set up for it. We can push these out with standardization, but you're limited in the audience side things, right? That's still controlled by the platforms. How are you guys allowing the grooms to figure out who to go manage, how to manage that addressability? Are you capturing the right audience from them?
Yeah, our job is not to be like the paid media strategist. So we're letting their team or sometimes their agency own that. And the Meta engine own it through Advantage Plus. With YouTube Organic, like, you can target based on the creators' audiences, but it's not the level of precision that you would expect with traditional paid. But targeting is always going to be a challenge. And if you have the best creative, though, you can reach obviously a super, I guess, targeted audience and do so really effectively. And that's the power of getting a lot more creative.
All right. I have to use the mic when I ask questions. All right. So you mentioned YouTube. You're in beta on Meta now. Creators in many ways I view, and I think this was said before, I mean, it's very cross-channel, right? It's TikTok, it's YouTube, it's podcasts, it's all these things together. How do you think about, over the next 3 to 5 years, whether it's Agentio or just more broadly, do these come together and are they managed across platform, or are they managed individually by each channel or platform? Yeah.
I think brands want to be able to manage their spend in one holistic place, right? That's the way that they run a lot of their business, whether it's like an ERP system or Rippling or an HR system, right? So to have to go from one platform to the next, especially when the creators are across every platform, I think presents a really interesting opportunity for tech to help enable advertisers to essentially consolidate where they're spending their time and get the best insights that are tied to the performance of creative across paid, organic, creator, traditional, under one roof.
Yeah. So the last question here. The guy Mark Darcy was full of like the best quotes I've ever had. I'm going to use another quote from him, that the advent of AI is going to create sort of a Cambrian explosion of creativity, right? It's this incredibly powerful tool used by creative people can massively increase the amount of creative. Now that can be used for ads. That was the context of that conversation. It also can be used for everything else. I guess as you look at how AI comes into this space, what do you see the impact of that? Does it change the number of advertisers using these channels? Does it change the number of creators? How do you think that impacts the space?
You're going to have a banging YouTube channel because it'll be so easy for you and everyone in this room to create incredible content, and the cost of production goes to zero, right? We're already seeing that with Sora 2, and Sora 2 could be considered AI slop today, but in 6 months, 12 months from now, it's going to be better than 99% of Hollywood studios and what they can produce. So this is, I think you said it earlier, like AI generation today is mediocrity at scale, and you have to be an incredible creative. You have to be an incredible strategist to win when there's like this proliferation of slop. But I also think there's going to be a concentration of trust towards creators because of the engagement and the equity that they've built with their audiences, and people that we all follow for years or many months or sometimes decades. You care about that person, and when your entire feed is potentially AI, potentially not, you're going to still go back to that person because you've built that parasocial relationship with them and you trust them, and therefore you trust their recommendations. So because of that, there'll also be a concentration of dollars to creators. But let's also remember that creators are going to be more empowered than ever. Like, they're going to have the best tools in the world. They're going to be able to make the best creative in the world, both for their own channels and then also on behalf of advertisers. So it's an insanely exciting time. Like, AI is going to be bigger than the internet, realistically, like its impact and the speed at which it's going to be moving, and how impactful it's going to be to businesses, to creatives, to people looking to generate great outcomes. They now have like literally not just a search box with some level of intelligence, but they now have the world's smartest, most creative, most thoughtful sparring partner at their beck and call whenever they want to partner or whenever they want to build product or test product. It's just like a massive paradigm shift away from how things currently work.
Arthur, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, guys. All right, Jane.
Thanks again to my partners at ViewPlanner and all the folks that attended my recent Next to Media event in New York. We have lots more to bring you, so please hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time for more on what's next in media. Thanks for listening.